Welcome to the Urban Wine Club podcast. Pour a glass, sit back, and enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Urban Wine Club podcast with your host Fotinari.
On this episode, we sit down with Vito Bruno, General Manager of Boston Winery, Boston's first and only winery. Vito tells us some history of their operation and shows us some of the action of making wine.
So grab a glass and join us while we get to know Vito. So here we are, finally at our first visit to a winery.
A real winery, right in Boston, Dorchester to be exact.
Yes, we're at the Boston Winery, and here we are with our good friend, Vito Bruno.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys, and I'm glad that I was at your first winery, Boston Winery. It means a lot.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, this for us is a very special occasion because, I mean, being in the wine business for so long, who would have thought that would be in Dorchester, sitting by the water, right? We're overlooking the water.
Can we just get a quick, what's the address here?
It's 26 Erickson Street.
26 Erickson Street.
Yep.
And right by the water. It's a beautiful view. We have the restaurant.
Venezia, yeah.
Right
Venezia. Yeah. But before we get into the segment, I mean, we're in this very beautiful historical building, right? We're surrounded by tons of wine barrels, lots of bottles, lots of boxes. I can smell the grapes, the juice. This is surreal.
So much character in this place. You guys have to see it. Any of you listeners out there, when you get an opportunity, get down here.
But before, again, tell us, Vito Bruno, the general manager of the Boston Winery, tell us about the historical building that we're in, right from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. So the building itself was actually put up in the 1820s. It was built by Putnam Nail Factory. So they were around during the Civil War, and they built horseshoes and horseshoe nails. They built this, obviously, post-Civil War as their Boston location.
Wow.
Yep.
It's that old.
Oh yeah. We have, it's not exact date, original
still.
print, but we do have some ads in our store that show the Putnam Nail ads. Yeah, they're really, really interesting.
I love it. I love that history.
It's got so much character in here. For those of you obviously who can't see the segment but are listening, it's well worth paying a visit here to kind of see this beautiful building that's been converted into a winery.
Yep.
And any of these sounds you hear in the background, remember, this is an active winery. It's working right now. You're going to hear all sorts of cool sounds. And
it's so active that we're going to toast right now.
Yeah,
right?
Have a toast.
Salud.
Salud.
And compliments of Boston Winery, having a delicious glass of Montepulciano. Right?
Boston's own Montepulciano, right? Don't faint. This is real.
It's delicious.
But Vito, tell us a little bit about the story here at Boston Winery.
Yeah, so
how it all began.
A little bit about the winery now. My grandfather Ralph was the real one who started this, and he's always been a dreamer and being a winery in Boston, right? I know a lot of folks listen to this can't be real, but he grew up in Abruzzi, Italy, and for those who aren't familiar with Abruzzi, it's east of Rome on the Adriatic side. And when he grew up, right, I always joke, I do our tours, I'll show people the winery, and I talk about this, and I say, my grandfather learning how to make wine was like me learning how to cut the grass. It was his father needed some help, needed some manual labor, didn't want to do it all on his own. For me cutting the grass, my old man said, hey, I'd rather drink a beer and watch the Patriots. So kid, get to work. And when you first cut the grass, you think it's the coolest thing in the world. And winemaking is awesome. There is a lot of labor to it. So he learned via osmosis. Ended up coming over through Ellis Island, lived in the North End, quintessential Bostonian Italian story, but still making wine at the house. He ends up starting Venezia Restaurant in 1984, and right next door is the winery. So it's funny, when Venezia was put up was post both this building being put up and our neighbor Boston Harbor Distillery. The restaurant's actually built on backfill. So at one point, this building was waterfront, and after Putnam Nail Factory was owned by Lawley Shipyard. And they actually would make sailboats that would drive right in and out of the port through Venezia's parking lot and our parking lot. But he bought Venezia in 84, bought this building afterwards, was using it as storage while he was renovating Venezia, ends up retiring, goes back home, and now he lives in Westwood, but he bought a house with a World War II bunker. And the guy loves history, I guess. More importantly, wine. He buys this house with a World War II bunker in it because it's a big cement room, right? Everything's temperature controlled.
Wow.
He's doing the salamis, he's doing the wine. This pisses off my grandmother, right? So she finally goes, Ralph, get the hell out of the house. Go make this wine somewhere else. I can't have you and your drunk friends over all the time, right?
Get out of the house.
So, long story short, he comes here and he starts making wine at the winery, and friends came in, and friends of friends came in, want to know how they can get involved, how they could, potentially make their own wine, get some wine. So he started the winery off as a wine school. So folks would come in, they'd buy the grape, they'd buy the oak barrel, they'd come here and they'd crush and bottle under his supervision. So it was a way of people learning how to make wine via osmosis. At the same time, as most home winemakers do, you're not adding a lot of things to your wine. So people love the idea that, hey, I know what's in this glass of wine, right? I'm watching it being made. I'm hands-on part of the process. There's no smoke and mirrors here. This is
the real deal.
Exactly, back to your roots kind of wine.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a really important thing, especially nowadays. A lot of people have that kind of like trend of wanting to know all the details of what they're ingesting.
And you should know, right?
Yeah.
You should know what's you're being put in your body.
Absolutely.
And Vito, you bring up a good point, because if you really think about it, wine specifically is one of the few categories under FDA regulations that does not require producers to disclose the ingredients. Right?
No, yeah, and this, we can get into conspiracy theories now, right?
That's for the next segment.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
No,
the fact that
definitely.
you mentioned that people can actually see what's going into the wine, I think is a huge plus, because we're a society and a consumer market that we're aware, we want to know what's going into our foods, into our beverages, into our bodies. So I'm a big component of that.
No, definitely. I mean, you need to know what you're consuming, and frankly, if you love wine in general, it takes a little bit away from the magic. Oh, I love Cabernet. Well, maybe you don't necessarily, right? Maybe you love the idea of what it is, or
good point.
That's a
good point.
You guys know this in the U.S. As long as you put 75% one varietal in a bottle, you can call it that.
Yeah.
So
I bet you most people didn't know that.
Oh yeah, well now you do.
No,
right?
you do. Thanks to Vito and the Urban Wine Club podcast. Now you know.
So it's tough. It's tough to figure out who you are as a wine consumer too, if you don't know 100% what you're consuming.
Yeah.
And besides the fact that you make wine here, right? You do a lot more than just make wine here.
Oh yeah, we have Michelle Conroy, who's our event coordinator. She didn't follow suit with the Vito Bruno or my brother Ralph Bruno or our cousin Crugnali, but being in Boston, we needed one Conroy. So Michelle, Michelle does all of our events. She does everything from weddings to corporate wine tasting parties. So she's fantastic.
You have a beautiful layout here for anything from formal to casual. I mean, this is a great spot.
And one of the really cool things is we talked about this, the making of your own wine, but what an experience that is. We've seen so many videos online, but it really doesn't capture you unless you're actually doing it yourself. And that's something that you could do here.
And the team here basically, walks the guest step by step. Having your own barrel is something I think people would dream of, having that it can actually be possible here at the Boston Winery.
Yeah, you're making it sound like we make dreams come true here.
Yes, absolutely you do.
You do.
And you can. Here's the thing: it is initiation by fire, right? You're hands on with the grape. You're tasting them. You're getting dirty, right? Don't come here wearing white clothing expecting not to. You're putting a smock on. You're getting hands on into it, and we want you to, right? That's wine. That's really what it is. It's making it. It's art, but it's also it's family. It's tradition, right? That's what it is.
Right. Awesome. You're a very young guy, in my opinion. Do you want to disclose how old you are?
I'm 26. Recently, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes me feel very old.
Yeah. It's all right.
You are old.
But no, it's for me. It's
refreshing.
great. It's great to see young individuals like yourself that actually are taking over a family business. But not are you only taking it over, but your passion speaks for itself. We sat with you for about an hour drinking lots of wine, getting to know you, and you can just sense that we meet so many individuals in the industry at different levels of experiences and different positions, and I gotta say, I'm like, you know your stuff, and you understand at the same token like what it takes and what's out there, and also the opportunities that are out there for consumers where there's a lot of wine consumption, but we had this conversation. But a lot of people don't know what they're drinking, or don't know if what they're drinking is what they're liking. So I think that we touched on, education is a big factor of what you're doing here, and putting together events that are, education based. We've discussed doing some possible collaborations together.
Absolutely.
But I think that there's a need out there for folks that, okay, they've been drinking wine, they've been trying a lot of wine, they've been spending a lot of money on trying wine because of the label. But at some point, people want to kind of break away from that.
Yeah, no, and thank you for the kind words, but to the education, because I'm super passionate about it. One of my bigger gripes here is when and I shouldn't say gripe, but I think people are told how they should like their wines, or told how they should enjoy their wines. Look, I love wine, but my big thing is drink it how you enjoy it. Don't be told to like something because of the price tag or because someone says it's great. If you don't enjoy it, you don't enjoy it, and that's to each their own. There's so many different people. There's so many different wines out there, and don't be afraid to try different things. Right? I have folks who come in here frequently and they say, "Oh, I don't drink this. Right? I don't drink Chardonnay." Well, we make a Pouilly Fusé style Chardonnay. It's an unoaked style Chard, and I might be rude doing it, but I'll have them try it without them knowing it's a Chardonnay, and about half the time they'll say, "Hey, I like this. What is it?" And I'll have a grin on my face and say it's Chardonnay. But I don't kick out varietals. There's so much that comes into factor when trying wine. Where it's made, how it's made,
correct,
the style it was intended to be made. So with wine, it's try them all, right? They're not going to hurt you, right? Don't be afraid and get outside of your comfort zone. It's worst comes to worst, you just say you don't like it. Best possible solution, you fall in love with it. Who knows?
It's so true.
Well
so
said.
True. Well said. I see those examples over and over where, it's sometimes just putting wine in a glass for somebody and not letting them know what it is, and just letting them enjoy the environment, goes a long way.
You guys aren't gonna eat this.
So here we are. Can you introduce?
Can you give us a quick introduction?
Yes.
You're live.
You're live.
This is
Go ahead.
Ralphie Bruno.
Ralphie Bruno. That's your brother.
So this is the winemaker here. Pardon the interruption, right?
Pardon the interruption.
So
This was scripted.
Yeah.
He was supposed to come in.
We told him, we didn't tell you.
Yeah. So Ralph does all of our winemaking. Thank God, right? Because you don't want me in charge of that. But he does come out here for pizza every once in a while.
Every once in a while, when I'm allowed to eat.
We're having this.
It's great pizza.
Sorry for the interrupt.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for coming in. So, where were we?
So we got to meet the winemaker.
Yeah.
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 He chewed and screwed on the podcast. I don't know how that makes you feel.
He's got work to do.
No.
He's got work to do.
We love it. That's why we like doing on location, so we could get like the real vibe, the real
That's what it's all about.
essence of being in a winery right now, which is great.
So we were going back to basically the experience of pouring out some wine into a glass for someone and just letting them drink it, not giving them too much about it. It really does change people's perception, or kind of allows people to kind of take their time, because if they have a pre-notion of what they're going to drink before their lips even touch the wine, they already have
A placebo.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's a placebo factor.
So then it's too late. It's hard to kind of get people into that after that point.
No, I completely agree. It's we have tasting notes here. You take one of our brochures. I always tell people, hey, look, I don't want to look at them, right? If I go out to taste wines, I don't want to see tasting notes because I'm my own individual wine drinker, right? I want to determine what my notes are because, frankly, my taste buds are different than yours. So people ask me all the time, hey, what do you like? Well, I always respond, it might not be what you like, right? Because folks want to know what I like, but
it's sort of a sense of like reassurance for people, or that comfort zone. And, unfortunately, some people will not take the chance unless they see someone else go first.
Yeah, and I also want to put this in perspective, right? I mean, 5 years ago, my grandfather came to me and said, hey, look, kid, I need somebody at the winery. And at that point, I had a job offer. I was just about to take it. And it was around the Christmas time, and he wrote "Do the right thing to make me happy," and then that was my resignation. Right, I was here.
What a guilt trip.
Oh yeah, I mean, you talk about being 26 but feeling older, right? That's. I have my grandfather's weight on my shoulders, which is great. It's a fantastic responsibility. But the point I was getting to is, I didn't know a lick about wine besides making it at home with him, right? Yeah. So before that, I was a young, ordinary, right, everyday beer drinking person, drinking Busch Lights, thinking they were craft beers. 5 years later, here I am on a wine podcast, right, and it's fantastic. But take that with a grain of salt. That whatever you hear from folks, I mean, I drink a lot, right?
That's number one.
But that really is though. Drinking and finding out who you are first as a wino is most important, and then the rest will come.
Yeah. Vito just made a very important point. Finding out who you are is more important than ratings on the label, than descriptions on the label, or even possibly recommendations from others that have distinct likes to styles of wines. So yeah, finding out who you are is the first step. But finding who you are, I think, does require an adequate amount of trial and error.
Oh, definitely. Trial and error, education, talking to people who we talked about it before the podcast started, which was your non-bias education, right? That's. You go do a tasting at a liquor store, it's usually a sales rep trying to sell you on that wine, and it's a great way to sample different wines. Don't get me wrong. Go out there, sample wines, but keep an open mind when you do.
I have a question for you, Vito, for our listening audience, because obviously there's always the challenge when one goes out to dinner. How do you order wine when you're out at a restaurant?
Oh, it drives my girlfriend crazy. It drives my girlfriend crazy, and waiters and waitresses really nuts.
But
so
there's a rhyme and reason to what you're doing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and sometimes there isn't. Depends how many wines I've had. I look for. So I know the wines that I like, right? And I know the areas that I like, and I know the minutia where alcohol content leads to residual sugar and sweetness. So I'll put in perspective. There's a really great restaurant in Easton that I love, and they have a really nice Zinfandel, and I will pair it with the meal. Yeah, so it's Corfinio, right? My girlfriend Erin and I are there once a month. Don't tell my grandfather, because he also owns Venezia. But it's a really great establishment. They do a really great job, and they have a really nice wine. It's a Force of Nature Zinfandel. It's a really nice wine. It's a higher percentage alcohol wine, which is what I like, and really, really nice. But here's the skinny. If I'm going to get a pork shank, that's probably what I'm going to do. Now, if I'm on the program like I am, with it being January and needing to lose a few lbs, at least telling myself that 2020 is my year. If I get a salad with a piece of salmon, right, I might do something different. So there are pairings there as well, and I've taken some wine pairing classes. I've done food and wine pairing, and that enabled me to get where I am now, and again by trial and error as well.
Excellent, great.
Title?
The restaurant is called
Corfinio.
Yeah. Italian cuisine.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we're going to try Corfinio next time we're around.
Absolutely.
And then, as far as let our listening audience know is information to getting in touch with the winery. You do these different services. Obviously, you have a website.
Yep.
The website
is www.bostonwinery.com. Super simple. You can check us out right on our website. You can call us. We're here all the time. My email is Vito, V-I-T-O, at bostonwinery.net if you want to reach out to me. No hate mail, please. I get plenty.
Social media?
Social media is both Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Boston Winery.
Awesome.
Really simple for us.
Any sort of future plans? Anything that's in the pipeline that you want to talk about? Anything?
So they're letting the cat out of the bag a little bit. We were talking that we do, this building being so funky, it has an addition that was put on after the Putnam Nail Factory era that's actually a separate address. So we are in the process of getting our licensure to open up a brewery as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Well, we have Boston Harbor Distillery right next to us. It would only make the trifecta a reality, right? Being able to come to a beer, wine, and liquor, and then hit Venezia restaurant for a fantastic meal.
Mecca over here.
For our listening audience, if you didn't catch in the beginning, we are next door to our previous friend from the Boston Harbor Distillery, Rhonda Kalman, who was one of our previous guests,
Yeah.
is literally next door. So this is
Yeah.
pretty cool that we have everyone under one umbrella here.
This destination is like a place everybody in Boston, Greater Boston,
Yes,
should
we
make
definitely
trip
recommend
here.
coming down to the Boston Winery.
Can we just get the physical address one more time?
Yep, 26 Erickson Street, and that's for the winery. It's the same parking lot as Venezia Restaurant, and you're well within walking distance to the distillery as well.
Which
So-
I'm sure almost everybody knows Venezia Restaurant.
yeah.
Absolutely.
They were rated actually top 100 by Zagat in the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mean,
Congratulations.
I'm saying thank you. The chef over there is fantastic. Gianni Caruso, Abruzzese, which hits home, right? My grandfather's Abruzzese as well.
Nice.
So he's awesome. He does a fantastic job.
That's great.
And Vito, you're pretty much here every day,
Oh,
7
yeah.
days a week, open
Oh,
to
yeah.
close. Yeah, so
Yep.
Any sort of hours that would be like a recommendation for people to...
Yeah, so our tasting hours are actually available right on our website. So we do all of our tastings by reservation. If you hit the Book Now tab, it'll show you our availabilities. Typically between Thursdays and Sundays. Thursday, Fridays, noon to 5. Saturdays, 1 to 6. Sundays, 1 to 3. But we are here store hours Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 5. Saturdays, 1 to 6.
We absolutely recommend making a trip down here. You have to step into this building to really get the vibe and the feel. It has such an atmosphere that we highly recommend.
excellent. Well, Vito, thank you so much for your time, knowing that you're a busy young man and you got a lot going on. We're definitely going to have you back on the podcast with hopefully
Yeah, and I
Mr.
think,
Ralph himself.
Yeah,
I think
thank you.
our audience and our app will be hearing a lot more of Boston Winery and any collaboration relationships that we're forming.
Yeah, no, look forward to it. You guys have been great, and I appreciate the podcast, right? And hopefully next time we'll get Ralph out here and more of a capacity. But I know he's busy. He's filtering today, so don't mind
Maybe the
him.
next one we could do a video podcast with Ralph. I think
Oh,
it'll
definitely.
be more animated that way.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
Absolutely.
excellent. Well,
Thank you so
Vito.
much.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Cheers.